I want to do another quick video to show you the aftermath of what happens when you leave your brain at the door and you drive around for 3 hours in 95, 98 degree heat, and with your booster going and using tap water, and when you pulled the air temperature sensor out of your air filter hose tube thingy, and you realized halfway through the trip that basically you just blew it from the get-go. So yeah, I wanted to take apart the cell and see what the condition was, especially with those the terminal posts on top of the cell here that were moving around so much, as you saw in the last video. So without further ado, let's see if we can get this. Okay, so you can see there, let me try to set this up. So you can see there just how much of an indentation and that happened because of the weight of the cell itself. Because remember, it hangs from this lid in the solution and it doesn't touch the bottom. Remember, I've got about an inch, maybe an inch and a half at the bottom for electrolyte. So the weight of the cell combined with the heat on the positive terminal pulled that down. Here's the negative terminal, and again we can see it did the same thing. And you can see a little black on the inside there. Oh, it's pretty rough. So anyway, and the same thing, and that's the negative side. And again, the weight of the cell pulled that down as well. The brass fittings here, when we checked that out, and actually after some other checking around, I mean, it was hot, but it wasn't as hot as the terminal lugs, the positive and the negative. And the brass was hot, but it wasn't moving around. So I think part of that has to do with the volts and the amperage and excessive heat, lots of excessive heat, and lack of a reservoir, and me checking my brain at the door. But anyway, hey, I want to show you the other side because it's quite the mess. Okay, see if I can get it up there. Back in on myself. Okay, so there we are. And you can see that there. Let me see if I can get a little flashlight action going. Okay, so there you can see that that thing in there, that brown thing, the brown silverish thing, that's the washer. And yeah, it definitely I just couldn't even pull or pry that washer out. And as you can see, let's see if you can get you can actually see how it bubbled up. See the edge there, and how it edged up and started pulling in. So that's really interesting. And again, if you look at the brass plugs, yeah, there's not much heat damage there. Here's the kicker. This is the ugly side. Look at that. Yeah, that's just nothing but straight up ugly. Look at that. Steve, you almost said I had a meltdown. I think, man, if I drove around for like maybe 20-30 minutes more, yeah, I think the cell would have sunk to the bottom of the housing, and that would have been a really cool video, I think. But yeah, you can see that it just ate that stuff up. So, and again, it just chewed that stuff out. And let's see if I can get a real good one. See, look at that. I was able to get the wash out of that because it was just like nothing but charcoal parts in there, and it was real easy to pry out. So, and again, that was the negative side. So anyway, that's the lesson I learned. Be smart, so you don't have to waste your money buying more lids and stuff. So that was kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead, I already, as some people have mentioned, hey, got to get lock washers, got to get rubber washers and all kinds of neat stuff, and get nylon fittings. And so basically, ta-da, here it is. So this is definitely a lot better than the brass fittings. Got the PVC with a little plug here, just going to keep it a plug so that way it's a fill. And hi. Okay. So anyway, glued that all up, PVC glue, the whole 9 yards. This, the elbow connector, threaded that in there, and then I also put glue in there, and then as you can see on the bottom, I put the tool dip because I don't know, I just kind of like blue. So anyway, and then I drilled the holes for the terminals, for the bolts, for the positive and the negative, and I didn't thread those. Last time I threaded them, and this time I'm not going to. Along with, I'm doing something a little bit different. And put the bolts on here, put them on here real tight, and then I also put another piece of shrink wrap on there. I don't know if you can see that real well, but I put another shrink wrap to go over that, and then of course I also put tool dip on here, and then the other bolt is on there, and then the washer, and then I surrounded it with tool dip. Because I remembered in my last video, or not my last video, but one of my other videos, I put tool dip over the contacts, and remember how that one part on the one side, it was starting to come off. I think that was due to the test that I was doing here on the bench. I'd let it sit and run for a long time. So that might have been a heat problem as well. So hopefully this, when I use a tool dip, I use a heat shrink, and then you know, just do some of these other things that'll help mitigate the heat problem that we have, or that I have. I don't know that you have, but we'll see. So anyway, that's some of the damage that can happen with a 3-hour road trip. Letting the cell run, and again, going to use distilled water. Going to start with the basics and see what happens, see if I get any gains. And basically, about halfway through the trip, it was kind of like, yeah, I basically checked my brain at the door, and you know, so why even check mileage? I wrote down the starting mileage, and yeah, wasn't even curious about the ending mileage, because it was just I just forgot so many things. It just played dumb. Imagine that. What are the odds? So anyway, but that's some of the damage, and that's about it. So hopefully later on, I start a new job. You know, I'll have a couple days. Well, actually, I just finished training for a new job, graduated that, and also started a new job on Monday. And I'm not sure what my hours are going to be. Could be working midnights or whatever. But so if you don't see a lot of videos from me in the next week or so, it's probably because I'm actually have to work for a living, and it's hard to get used to. So the good about the year off was kind of good. About 8 to 10 months I took off, and just kind of hanging out and doing with family and working with my back, get my back in shape, and so we'll take it from there. So anyway, hey, I had fun, and then like the next test, we'll see what happens. And I promise that I'll do mileage test, and I'll deal with the Barney basic system, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, take care, God bless, and we'll catch y'all later.